If you want to learn this recipe, please stick around. You're going to need some shrimp, devein them and deshell them. You're going to need some chow mein noodles. I got this from an Asian market down the street from my house. Only $1.79 for that big pack. A good knife. Yeah, I don't know what this is called, but it's like basically like a peeler you can use it on potatoes and to skin things. Some carrots. A bigger one's probably preferred, but smaller ones work too. Some green onions. Some asparagus. Basically any vegetables that you're going to want in this stir-fry type of noodle. I have some minced garlic. Some ginger. That's actually a Chinese ginger. Some sesame seed oil. And some black pepper. Some more garlic powder. Teriyaki sauce. A Szechuan spicy sauce. You can find that probably in any store. There's probably different type of brands. Some chopped broccoli. I have the frozen kind. Fresh is always better, but this is what I actually had in my kitchen at the time. Coleslaw. Hoisin sauce. It's a Chinese cooking sauce. And a spicy garlic oil. I got this one at Ross for, I think that was $1.99 or $2.99. Oh my god, I love it. And a little bit of butter. So first step is to season the shrimp. It's always best to season your meats before you start cooking, preferably a couple hours beforehand if you can. But first I just put a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of the minced garlic. I don't have ever used exact measurements. I'll give you an estimate of what I think about I use, but also be showing exactly how much, just so you guys can get an idea. Enough teriyaki sauce to just cover the shrimp a little bit. I find that not using measurements, my meals always turn out about the same, and I just kind of go by sight. Just sprinkle a little bit of ginger. Ginger is pretty strong, so you really don't need too much of it. You can barely see it's just a little light coating on top. I would say it's probably like 1/4 of a teaspoon or something like that. And I'm just gonna go ahead and mix that up and get all the seasonings and sauce on there so it can start marinating. I'm actually using seasonings that don't really contain any salt, so I'm actually going to use a little bit of garlic salt, because usually when I cook Asian type of foods, I use soy sauce, but I'm actually not using any soy sauce in this recipe. And soy sauce usually provides the saltiness, so I'm going to use a little bit of garlic salt for the shrimp, on the shrimp. Here's what it looks like when it's all seasoned up. Next, we're just going to take about a 1/2 tablespoon of butter, maybe a little bit less, and just glaze or just get the bottom of the pan nice and buttery, and we're going to just throw the shrimp in there. And the burner is actually on a medium heat. And what we're going to do is just let the shrimp cook and you'll notice it'll turn a pinkish color when it is fully cooked. So next I'm going to just turn it down to medium-low, more towards the lower side. And while those are cooking, I'm actually just going to chop up vegetables that I'm going to be putting in there. So here's the green onions, and then I'm going to chop up the asparagus as well. As long as your shrimp are on a lower heat, they won't overcook. You can keep an eye on them and mix them every once in a while. But chopping up stuff shouldn't take very long. And what you're going to do is actually just throw the vegetables directly in the shrimp, so it can start to soften and get a little flavor in them as well. I usually like to throw a little bit more teriyaki sauce in there. Well, when I throw anything more, whenever you throw anything more into the pan, you want to add a little bit more liquid just so things don't start to burn. So I'm actually throwing the broccoli directly in on the pan as well so they can start to soften. And since it is frozen and their teriyaki sauce does cook up fast, I decided to throw a little bit of water in there just to keep the moisture going. Next, I'm taking a little bit of the Szechuan spicy. I'm just pouring a little bit in there. I'd say it's about 2-3 tablespoons. Here, I'll go ahead and just mix it up. Put spices on there. And while that is, it's going to actually be, the sauce will be a little bit of a liquid form. So while you're waiting for it to thicken up, you're going to just go ahead and shred these little carrots. Any vegetables used in this recipe are optional. You can use whatever you like. These are just what I personally like, and honestly, with the sauce on them, you could barely taste vegetables anyways. It kind of just tastes like the sauce. But and these are kind of more for topping, for decoration, but you can use whatever you like. So now I'm taking the hoisin sauce, which is a Chinese type of sauce used in a lot of Chinese cooking. Just pouring a little bit in there. You can see how much I used, probably what, a tablespoon or two. And you can see the shrimp are getting a nice boil going on, or simmer, I guess it's called. And what we're going to do is go ahead and mix that in. Get all the flavors together. You can see that the vegetables are starting to soften up as well. So now what you're going to want to do is actually let the shrimp sit at a medium-low heat and just get thicker, and this is what it will look like when it is about ready, or when it's about done. See how the sauce is a lot thicker, everything looks soft and cooked. So now we're just actually going to turn it up to a little bit higher than medium heat. This also depends on your burner. You don't want it too hot to burn, but you want it to be like a stir fry, like how Mongolian Grill, or if you've ever been to a Mongolian barbecue type of place, how high their skillet is. You're going to basically be trying to pan fry these noodles basically. So I'm going to add a little bit of water because you could see there wasn't very much moisture in the pan. And go ahead and mix around. And you're going to also want to, I'm going to add the spicy garlic oil just to help them cook a little bit better. There goes the garlic oil. Once again, you guys, this stuff is so flavorful. I love it. I make it. I use it with anything. You can tell because it's almost gone. So I'm adding a little bit more teriyaki sauce. It will give you a little bit more flavor and a little bit more moisture. And I'm also going to add a little bit of sesame seed oil. A little goes a long way, so you really don't want much of that. Probably, I'd say half a tablespoon at the most, because the flavors will come through. Turn it down to medium and going ahead and stirring it up, trying to get all the flavor on all the noodles and get the moisture in all the noodles so they can start softening up. And I'm pouring a little bit more water, just to get a little bit more moisture. You could just go by sight. You just don't want, if there is no moisture in the pan, they will start to burn. And you know, I'm going to add a little bit more Szechuan just because every time I add water, I like to add a little bit more sauce just so the water doesn't drown out the taste. And I actually chopped up a little bit of onion. I'm going to put that in as well. You could put these onions in well, when you put the vegetables in, it doesn't really matter. It's just for a little bit of flavor. Add a little bit more water, a little bit more teriyaki, just a little splash splash. Bam. And go ahead and mix it around. So you're just going to stir it around, make sure everything's coated. If you want to add a little bit more sauce, because you're going to just actually let it sit after this on a low heat and let all the flavors sink in and them soften up. So I went ahead and added just a little bit more of the spicy Szechuan and the teriyaki sauce. And then you're going to let it sit on a low heat once again and let all the flavors kick in and let the noodles soften up all the way. So here is the final result. I went ahead and put the carrots and cabbage on the top. I like to mix it in just for a little bit of crunch, and flavors are great. If you do this recipe, it's going to be a little bit spicy, but once again, enjoy.